How long does the E-2 process take? The E-2 visa timeline is divided in two main processes. The first is the investment process, the second, the submission process. Let's address the first process, which is the investment. Here at the law office of Bobby C. Chung, we generally see our clients take between 2 to 5 months or more to complete their investment process. Of course, the timeline will vary depending on each individual and the business they've selected. Now, you might be wondering, why do I need to make an investment first? Why can't I just apply for the E-2 visa? Well, the E-2 visa requires the applicant to first make an investment before applying for the E-2 visa. This first stage is that investment process. The reason an applicant must first make their investment is because U.S. immigration needs to be convinced that an applicant has a real business that has already hired or will hire American workers in order to bring a benefit to the U.S. economy. U.S. immigration also needs to see that there will be a real business with the ability to provide enough revenue for the applicant to live comfortably in the U.S. along with their family if they have any. The U.S. immigration will not approve an E-2 visa based on speculation and business concepts alone in which no real investment has been made. Therefore, an investment must first occur before applying for the E-2 visa. From our experience, we've seen our clients take between 2 to 5 months or more in order to complete their investment process. Once the investment is complete, we move on to the second process of the E-2 timeline, which is the submission of the E-2 application to the U.S. immigration. Depending on where you submit the E-2 application will dictate the length of time U.S. immigration may take to process the application. What do we mean by this? Well, an E-2 applicant is required to apply for the E-2 visa at the U.S. Embassy abroad in their country of citizenship or country of legal residence. For example, Canadians need to apply at the U.S. Toronto Consulate, or British nationals need to apply at the U.S. Embassy in London. Each U.S. embassy have their own processing times depending on how busy they are or other circumstances. In general, we typically see U.S. embassies take between 1 to 4 months or more to process an E-2 application. This general 1 to 4 month timeline for application processing at the U.S. Embassy may include the review of the application and attending visa interview. Once the interview is completed, the visa officer normally provides a decision right at the end of the interview. A decision can be an approval, a request for additional evidence, a denial, or administrative processing. In our experience, our clients typically receive an approval. If an approval is received, the applicant will hand in their passport and wait between 7 to 10 days for the U.S. Embassy to issue the E-2 visa inside their passport and then return the passport by mail. Please note, since COVID, the processing times have changed. We've linked a video in the description below for more details on current processing times as of 2023 regarding effects of COVID. Now remember, we mentioned earlier that the submission process will depend on where you submit your application. Well, it is also possible to submit the E-2 application to the USCIS. The USCIS stands for United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. If submitting the E-2 application to the USCIS, this means you are directly applying within the U.S. This is called a change of status to E-2 investor. For example, certain individuals who are already inside the U.S. with legal non-immigrant status, it is possible to directly apply directly within the U.S. by submitting their application to the USCIS. This is a change of status. It is very important to note there are distinct differences, pros and cons, between applying directly in the U.S. as a change of status or applying directly at the U.S. Embassy. Therefore, it is very important to consult an experienced E-2 attorney on your best options when considering the pros and cons. If you'd like to find out more about the differences between submitting your application at the USCIS versus applying inside the U.S., please do take a look at the video link in the description below. If an applicant does apply directly within the U.S. by doing a change of status, then there will be no visa interview process. Again, if applying directly within the U.S., there is no visa interview process. You simply submit your application to the USCIS, and an officer will make a decision on your case and send their decision by mail. A decision can mean approval, request for additional evidence, denial, or administrative processing. In our experience, most of our clients receive an approval. When doing a change of status to E-2 investor, The USCIS can take between 1 to 4 months or more to make a decision. Again, please do take a look at the video link in our description regarding processing time since COVID. Now, what about options to expedite the processing of your application? If an applicant is doing a change of status by applying directly within the U.S. with the USCIS, then there is an option for expedited premium processing. Currently, the U.S. Immigration charges an additional fee of $2,500 for this process, and it guarantees a decision within 15 calendar days. However, this expedited option is only available for individuals applying directly within the U.S. for a change of status. It is also important to note that this expedited process is only available for the primary investor applicant, meaning that if the investor has dependents, and dependents are defined as a spouse and children who are under 21 and not married, these dependents will need to go through regular processing times, which can be 1 to 4 months or more. Normally, if the primary applicant is approved, the dependents are likely to be approved after as well. Keep in mind, this expedited premium processing option is not available for applying at the U.S. Embassy abroad. In conclusion, the E2 process is divided in two main parts. The first part is the applicant's investment. In our experience, applicants can take between 2 to 5 months or more to complete their investment, depending on the individual and their business. The second part is the submission of the E2 application and waiting on the U.S. Immigration, which depends on where their application is submitted and if they are eligible for the option of premium processing if applying directly within the U.S. for a change of status. Be sure to check out the descriptions for video links for other relevant topics such as processing times after COVID, applying at the U.S. Embassy versus doing a change of status, and E2 visa processing overview. Thank you for watching.